Sigrún Hreinsdóttir has heard plenty of stories about volcanoes, like what her great-grandparents experienced when Katla erupted.
When they looked, they saw this big wall of water coming towards them and the eruption cloud building up above Katla. And then they barely escaped with their lives, running horseback riding away from the flood. It's just always with you somehow. And that family story of people surviving and living with a hazard like that is, it gets in your blood.
Today, she's a geophysicist studying the volcanoes of her homeland. The 37-year-old has plenty to do. Iceland is a hotspot of volcanic activity, and she's keeping a particularly close eye on Eyjafjallajökull. These days, the now world-famous volcano seems to have subsided. The scientists' work has returned to normal. The volcanologists have installed high-tech sensors on the ridge of the mountain. These GPS points transmit their precise position to satellites. If they start moving, it's an indication that the volcano is growing active.
We basically have all these points around the volcano that we can see how magma is moving under the volcano. And by, constructing models, we can actually visualize what's going on underground. And it's been really interesting. Basically we are watching magma move under the volcano.
On the way back, the researcher stops at a friend's farm on the slopes of Eyjafjallajökull. There's still ash on these shoes. But the cows have finally been let back out to graze on the pasture land. The family that lives on the farm has pretty much got over the shock. But when Sigrún Hreinsdóttir stops by, the eruption still tends to dominate conversation. Everyone has a story to tell about it. Back in the spring, this is how things looked when Eyjafjallajökull was spewing out ash.
We did drills beforehand and talked about what would happen if there was an eruption. But in fact, we had no idea what it would actually be like. It was exhausting, stressful, and a bit strange to have to leave your home. Suddenly, the house wasn't a safe place to be anymore.
A 2 hours drive away in the capital Reykjavik, people are still talking about the eruption. In their hearts, all Icelanders are geologists, says Sigrún Hreinsdóttir. The University of Iceland's Institute of Earth Sciences is where the volcanologist analyzes her data. Even before the eruption, the GPS points were extremely active, as she shows us on these graphs.
The more volcanoes we study and the more volcanic eruptions we get, the more data we have to understand what precedes an eruption. And of course, hopefully, one day we might be able to say, oh, this signal, it's just like in 2010 when Eyjafjallajökull was about to erupt. So hopefully, one day we will be able to predict an eruption.
That's why the geologists are setting up as many GPS seismic monitoring stations as possible. This is a typical day's work for volcanologists. This and a lot of waiting. Sigrún Hreinsdóttir is one of a very small group of people who are looking forward to seeing another eruption soon.